Hey everyone, Mario again, coming at you another review. Today I'm reviewing a film that I saw the other day, and I had the pleasure of seeing this film on the big screen. I bet some of you are going to go, what? WonderCon, guys. This film they actually previewed twice at WonderCon. While I missed the first showing of it on Friday, I did see the encore presentation on Sunday with my friend Alvin, who actually reads a lot of comics unlike me, and he actually read this arc, and afterwards we talked a little bit about what was different, and it's only minor stuff. It's not stuff that casual comic fans or some comic fans will get pissed at, but the super uber hardcore ones will probably go, "It changed minor details, this movie blows!" But I thought it was actually a pretty good film, based on what little I know about the arc, and also what my friend Alvin told me. It, of course, is Son of Batman. Now, this film is technically a sequel to Justice League War, or at least in the spiritual sense, because it features some of the same voice actors and some of the same designs, and considering that Flashpoint kind of did reboot the film's continuity, or at least the way the order they make it the films, it seems that, even though this film happened before the Flashpoint arc, if I remember right in the comics. But anyway, it is based on the arc Batman and Son, but I think Son of Batman is actually a better title for the film. Now, the film begins with the League of Assassins being attacked, and we find out they're being attacked by Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke. Now I'll get to this in a bit, because this is apparently one of the changes to the arc, at least according to what Alvin told me. But during the attack, Ra's al Ghul is killed, and because of this, Talia feels that her son Damian is no longer safe with the League, at least for now, and decides to take him to his father, Bruce Wayne, aka Batman. This is the first time Batman learns he has a son. Now, the first scene we see with Bruce and Talia, it's a very good scene. You can see the chemistry between them. I will agree with my friend Jeff that Batman seems to have better chemistry with Catwoman, but this scene has some good chemistry. And you watch how this scene is shot, and you're like, just do it already, you two! Which, considering that Damian's just behind a curtain, it would be kind of awkward. And I just like how Bruce just looks at him like, he doesn't even question the fact that it's him. He's like, maybe because Damian looks so much like him. But the interaction between Bruce and Damian is kind of what makes this film, because at first they don't get along that well. And then they sort of get along as the film progresses, especially in the end as Damian has to learn a little bit from his father, which is an interesting thing. But as the film progresses, we find out that Deathstroke is connected to some minor stuff that Batman's working on currently. And eventually Talia gets kidnapped, and so father and son have to go rescue little mother while fighting Deathstroke and his rogue ninjas off. Now, Deathstroke is the only major villain in the film who is the main villain, who has more than just a small appearance. The other one, of course, Killer Croc also does, but his is basically like a very glorified cameo, but he moves the plot along. The rest of the villains is just minor cameos, like you see a little quick shot of Joker, a quick shot of Two-Face, and that's it, which I don't know if that happened in the arc, but it kind of fits with the film. Now, the rest of the characters that show up are ones that have like minor supporting roles but fit. Like you see James Gordon in there, which is kind of funny. When he sees Robin, he has to censor himself from saying sex phone line in front of him. Dick Grayson, the first Robin. It was interesting to see the interactions with him and Damian. Like when they first meet, they get into a minor fight, and even though Dick gets cut up a lot, he wins the fight. And then, of course, his reaction when he finds out Damian is Bruce's son. After all those discussions he gave me about user protection, Sorry, sir. It's just funny. It sounds funny. It's funnier in the movie, though. And Talia and Kirk Langstrom, other characters. And, of course, Alfred, sarcastic as ever. Just watching this, I'm like, you know, with the live-action films, they cast the perfect actor as Alfred in the upcoming series. I just hope they give him lines like this that are uber sarcastic. Because I don't think they really gave him a lot of sarcastic lines in the two previous incarnations, live-action-wise. I mean, they gave a little bit with the Michael Caine version, but not that much in the original one in the Burton Schumacher series. Not really sarcastic. Loyal, but not sarcastic. Now, the film is directed by Ethan Spalding, which I'm going to check to see what he's done. I'm not really familiar with that name. Okay, he directed episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender, such as Return to Omashu, The Blind Bandit, The Painted Lady, The Avatar and the Fire Lord, and the first part of Sozin's Comet. He's also a storyboard artist on a lot of them. And he also was involved with the Flashpoint Paradox as a storyboard artist in a couple Scooby-Doo films. So he was also storyboard artist apparently for Legend of Korra, and he was a producer of the Thundercats reboot. So he's had some work in animation. So I see him in a director's chair in a film. So it's been a while since I've watched Avatar in its entirety, but I remember liking a handful of the episodes that I just saw. So I know he's a competent director with that, and it kind of shows here, especially with the designs of the characters and the way the animation moves. Now the voice acting, we got Jason O'Mara as Bruce Wayne reprising his role from Justice League War. We got Stuart Allen as Damian Wayne. Nothing really much to say about what this guy's done because he doesn't have a page, but I thought he came off good as Damian Wayne. He really did kind of contrast with his father and show that father and son had some stuff to learn from one another. And it's interesting to see them contrast each other through their dialogue as the film goes on. Marina Bakarin as Talia al Ghul. I thought they did a good job. She brought the right amount of, I wouldn't say gruff, but the right amount of leadership to the role, considering that Talia is supposed to be the number 2, at least at the beginning of the film, and throughout the film she is. Of course, after her father dies, she's the number 1, but you really did believe she was a trained assassin, and of course she had the right amount of seductiveness when she was talking with Bruce, and you can believe that she really did love Bruce. Now, other than this, she's best known as being in the series Firefly, which I've never saw, and Stargate: The Ark of Truth, never seen. Let's see what films she's done. Serenity, but that's a given. Stolen, an 2009 film. And if I'm looking, I think this is probably one of her first voiceover. Oh, I take that back. She was Cheetah in Batman the Brave and the Bold. But it's still one of her. She was also Black Canary in the Justice League cartoon, so she's connected with DC animated stuff, but this seems to be the first movie that she's actually done a voiceover in. It'd be interesting to see her do more voice work. I mean, she's 34, still got a long career ahead of her unless she retires, so it'd be interesting. Then we got Xander Berkeley as Kirk Landstrom. If I remember correctly, isn't that, he's the scientist guy in the film, but isn't he the guy that was Man-Bat? I'm not going to look it up, but I think that's who it was, because that's what they kind of hinted at, because we do see Man-Bats in the film. He did a good job. His character is basically a glorified cameo. This guy, you guys should recognize who he is. I mean, he's done voice acting before. He's also done normal acting. We all remember him as Todd from Terminator 2. He was Trevor Lyle in Candyman, among others. Voice acting, he's done All Real Monsters, Gargoyles, Mighty Ducks, Spawn, Superman the Animated Series, The Wild Thornberrys, Batman Brave and the Bold, Teen Titans. So he's done stuff. Telling his voice, he's done voice acting before. Then we got Thomas Gibson as Slade Wilson, aka Deathstroke. He, I think, was out of the new voices, at least for the characters, I think he fit the best, because even though I don't really know much about Slade from reading the comics other than what I've just been told, and also a little bit of what's shown in Arkham Origins, I thought that his voice fit the character. Now the actor I'm checking, he is from Chicago Hope and Criminal Minds, which if I'm looking at this, that's where I recognize him from. I like him in that show. I didn't recognize that was him in the voice of that role because it sounded a little different than his normal speaking voice. And I believed him as it. Of course, other than this, I recognize him from Flintstones and Viva Rock Vegas. And of course the stuff I mentioned from TV. I'm looking at it, doesn't look like he's done much other voice work. Because I'm looking, most of it is like live action stuff, so it'd be interesting to see him do more voice work and bring back Slade, which that's probably one of the minor problems with the film, is that it makes it seem like Slade dies in the end. I'm not going to spoil how, but if you know comic book movies and all that stuff, he probably doesn't die. It just makes it seem like he died. The only other thing I could say is that he has 2 eyes at the beginning of the film, and then he loses it throughout the course of the film, which I don't even know the comic lore, and I know that's not how it happened, but I think it fits for the context of the film, and if you take it like what it is for what it is, it fits, especially after the reboot with Flashpoint. Then we got Giancarlo Esposito as Ra's al Ghul. I thought Jason Isaacs did a better job in Under the Red Hood, but I thought this guy didn't do a bad job. I mean, he apparently from this he was in Breaking Bad, and he's also been in Once Upon a Time, which I have never watched either show. I've seen like snippets of Once Upon a Time. That's mostly because my grandmother watches it. Checking to see if he's done any other character voice work, and I'm not seeing anything. So I'm guessing this is one of his first ones. Okay, he was in Carlito's Way, Rise to Power, Homicide the movie. Nice. I don't see any of it. Doesn't mean he didn't do anything, but he did a decent job as Rage. But like I said, Jason Isaacs I thought fit the role a little bit better. Or even the guy that did the voiceover role in the animated series. David McCallum as Alfred Pennyworth. Perfect. I bought him as Alfred to a T. And he had the right amount of sarcasm and loyalty in his voice, and I want to see this guy do Alfred more. And of course, I recognize this guy as Ducky from NCIS, which I really love that character. And if they hadn't already cast somebody in the live-action movies, I could see this guy playing Alfred in the live-action movies. He just has that look and he has that voice. He just has to do that voice. Even if he just uses his normal speaking voice, if he added the right amount of sarcasm to it, it would work. Now, other than NCIS, he's been in The Outer Limits, $6 Million Man, Alfred Hitchcock Presents. He did some voiceover work on Ben 10. He also was in an episode of Batman the Brave and the Bold. So he's done some voiceover work, and it kind of does show in his voice. I'll say that voice. Then we got Bruce Thomas as James Gordon, did a great job. Fred Tatasciore, Sciore, I should say, as Killer Croc. He did a good job. Not my favorite Killer Croc voice. That would go to the Arkham verse. I threw a rock at him, but it was a big rock. I know I'm saying an animated series line, but that's how he probably would have said it. Then Sean Maher as Dick Grayson. Good job. Hard to say if I like this one better or Under the Red Hood, but I thought they both did a good job for what they had to do. This is another actor who was from Serenity. He was also in the more recent version of Much Ado About Nothing. And on TV, he's in the show Arrow, or was. It's hard to say. It doesn't say how many episodes. As well as Firefly and CSI Miami, among other stuff. I thought he did a good job. I haven't seen his other work, but I thought he did a good job, as I've said. Now, how would I rank this compared to the other animated films in this series that I've seen? Now, I'm looking at it. I haven't seen all these ones yet. Let's see. I would say I liked Under the Red Hood a little bit more, because that seemed a little bit more personal. I think I liked it on par with Batman, Superman, Apocalypse. Year One, I think I liked a little less than this. Justice League Doom, I haven't seen all the way through yet. I could say I probably liked it a skosh more than Flashpoint Paradox, but that's mostly because I'm not really familiar with the character of Flash, even though the movie didn't make me care about him a lot. It's just my personal thing. And I could say I definitely liked it a little bit more than War, but that's because my main problem with War was the villain. Because you guys all remember from my review, the villain basically just comes off as a very cartoony villain in just one note, even though it is kind of made up for. It is made up a little bit by how the rest of the characters interact when trying to fight him. Here, the villain, you actually felt like he was a very big threat, especially with how personal he gets into the lives of our characters, especially considering he knows that Damian's father is Batman, even though he doesn't know who Batman is. So if I have to give it a rating, I give it a 4.5 out of 5. And if you are a fan of these animated films, I do recommend it. It's about the same length as the other one. Now, there's no rating on IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes yet because technically the film hasn't officially come out yet. But I'd say after it does, give it a watch if you're able to. I don't know if you'll like it as much as I did, especially if you are one of those people that actually reads the comics. But like I said, my friend Alvin had read this arc and he didn't really mind it. We discussed some of it, and I actually pointed out some of the stuff, and he even conceded, yeah, that's probably it. But some of the minor stuff for the comic fans, like Deathstroke, probably will annoy some people at least a little bit. But me, it didn't bother it, at least because in the context of the film. Though I will say Deathstroke does come off to be a little bit of a whiner at times, but I'm clocking that up to the fact of how he's placed in the League of Assassins in the film, when in the comics, if I remember right, he's basically just a former soldier who becomes a mercenary. Well, like I said, 4.5 out of 5, and I look forward to the next DC animated film.